I've spent years telling my clients and you, my audience, organic first and build before you boost. Content, community, conversations. Today, I'm talking to two brothers who build an AI agent or multiple agents that write your content, post it, and adjust it without you touching any of it. So I have to ask the question you're probably already asking. Does that break everything I've been telling you and I've been teaching you? Or does it just change the way we work? Is this the future? Zach and Jason Francis, aka the Francis brothers, are here to answer this question and many more. This is Strategy Talk. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Dorien, Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Strategy Talks. And of course, it's Tuesday. We are live here on LinkedIn, here on YouTube, and on Facebook too. So welcome to all of you who are watching this with us live. If you have questions, remember, live means we are here to answer your questions if you have them. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you watch this on the replay, I also want to make sure that you can tag myself and my guests and ask us questions. We'll be happy to answer them. And as always, I want to have a special welcome to all of you who listen to Strategy Talks as a podcast. So welcome, everybody. I want to introduce you to Zach and Jason Francis. How are you guys?
How's it going? Good to be here. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, so I've had double guests before, but not in 2026. So you're the first duo in 2026.
There it is.
Of course.
I like it. I love it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about your startup, or is it a startup? Should I call it a startup? I should have asked you that question. Is it a startup, or are you not in a startup phase anymore?
Yeah, no, we're a startup. Yeah, I mean, we're cranking on all cylinders and off to the races. But I don't know when the official non-startup phase or getting out of the startup phase happens, but we'd consider ourselves, a startup for sure.
Okay, awesome. So you've built and exited several businesses, right? Real estate, media, and now you're in AI. What made you look? Because at small business owners specifically and think this is a problem worth solving next, because the tool that you've developed is for small teams, maybe not small business owners, but small teams. And it's interesting because this is my focus this year on Strategy Talks, really content strategy for small teams. So I think this is going to be a great conversation today. What make you think this is who needs help?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think it happened pretty organically. We were the small team. We were the small businesses that just naturally needed help in these areas. And so we're just mostly building things that were helpful for ourselves. And it turned out, through content SEO, that's actually been one of our leading driving factors of success in our businesses. It's just organic traffic coming on, which has been huge for us. And so using, when AI started coming out more aggressively, we started using it for creating content so we could, replicate that organic traffic as fast and as best as we could, while still following all of Google's best practices and actually providing value with our content there. And that's how we really kind of jumped into, the organic traffic, organic content in that sense side of things. And we've definitely been more focused on non-enterprise, so like SMBs, just because that's who we are. And we feel like we have a pretty clear understanding of that founder pain point, just because we have launched so many different businesses. And like I said, some of them have succeeded, some of them we've shut down, some of them we're still running, and so on. So it's we really were building for ourselves and, kind of had ourselves as the ICP in that sense.
I love that. That's really great. That's awesome. So when we talk about uh, your Willow, right? That's your newest company, Willow.ai. The whole premise is that ideas die in spreadsheets and to-do lists, right? Not because it's bad strategy. And when you get busy running a business or starting a business, I know this because that's who I work with too. They're too busy. The founders, the people who are running business development, they're too busy creating content. So what is the first step for somebody to say, raise their hand and say, I need help, whether that's an AI tool or that's a content strategist or that's somebody who knows organic marketing? What is the first signal that you say, people needed to pay attention to?
Yeah, that's a good question in that sense. Kind of my knee-jerk reaction there, as far as what people generally come to us saying, is they are less saying of hey, I need help with content, and they more are saying, I want more leads, I want more customers, I want more leads. And so that's the high level strategy in that sense, as far as content specific goes. And so some people have done their research and they understand SEO, content, marketing, and so on beforehand, and they have a better idea if that's something that they're wanting to get into. But some people just kind of come across it just with a blanket statement of I want more customers in that sense. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's really smart. When I do strategy with clients, I always start with what's your business goal, and sometimes they go, "Well, aren't we talking about marketing?" I'm like, "No, I need to know your business goal."
Yeah,
so, so I love that. I love that answer. That makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm going to ask you the question: why agents? Why now? Small business owners have had AI writing tools for a couple of years. I've been using AI for writing about 3 years or so. What's actually different about an agent versus the AI that people already tried? You and I were just talking in the green room. I'm going to an AI conference and I'm realizing I'm 2 days out. It's a 1-day conference that it might be just too simple of what I already know. And so, a lot of us are now ready for the next step. Is that what the next step is? Agents?
Yeah, agents. Yeah, I think so. And, a lot of the kind of early content writers, and whether that's an actual web app or even something like ChatGPT or Claude, they have limited context to your business, right? And they have kind of a one shot you put in a prompt and you say, hey, I want to create content on X, Y, and Z. It spits it out. You can refine it. And then the job's done, right? Whereas agents are more of a continuous loop. They kind of keep the context in mind, depending on the platform, depending on, for Willow, it has all your business context in it, right? And so when you ask it to do something, it takes all of that into account, makes the post sharper, keeps all your call to actions in mind, your business goals, like we just talked about, all those different things. But I think the real power with agents is that it can start doing things autonomously when you don't ask, right? So if it knows your business goals and it starts seeing, hey, we need more traffic, let me analyze our last 60, 90 days of traffic. Oh, this posted awesome. Let's double down on that. Or maybe it searches the web and it says, there's a huge piece of news that just came out. We need to put a content piece live in the next hour to start capturing that attention that's going to that specific news cycle. So that's where agents really, really shine, right? Compared to just a standard blog writer that just is really static in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's like content writing using AI is more output focused. It's like you have to deal with it and then it gives you an output, whereas an agent is much more of like an operating system that's handling something on an ongoing basis in that sense. So the output isn't just a one-time ordeal in that way. Yeah.
So I think this is really interesting because I think there's a lot of small business owners out there who are just getting used to prompting and to, figuring out how this whole AI thing works. And now you're talking about agent, but I can tell everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, that I went to Willow yesterday just to test it, of course. Usually I do when I talk to somebody, and I was very impressed because you were right. That's exactly what happened. I gave it a little example of a side business that I have and that needed a website, and I was like, I'm going to work on this project. Anyway, let me see what Willow can do. And it actually created a bunch of information that I didn't even ask it to do yet, but it was like this and this and this. So I was really impressed. I was like, it's almost like a thinking partner, a sparring partner, because a lot of us on small teams, we might have access, we might have a VA, or we might have access to an intern, or maybe we have a partner, but we don't always have a marketer. We don't always have a
Sure.
salesperson. We don't always have a web designer. So I was really impressed with how quickly it picked up what I was trying to do and what this business was, because I had a hard time really formulating what it was going to do. And then I said, oh, this. So I love it. That was really, really good. So I can
That's
see
awesome.
where an agent takes your idea and then just, like you said, just keep spinning with it and moving things forward. So let me ask this. You kind of hinted at your ICP, but who is Willow actually built for? Is it a solo founder, 2 or 3 person team, or what you call a small business, maybe up to 25 people on staff? What is your ideal? Is there an ideal customer?
Yeah, so currently we're really targeting just small businesses in general. Some founders, some people who just have like brand new ideas, but we're also targeting people with existing businesses, and you can bring it in through our existing business flow, and that helps you basically like migrate over. So because it's a build anything platform as well, no code style, you can build any website or any full stack software that you may want, whether that's internal systems or something for your customers to use or so on. So it allows people to jump on with their existing business and build. So if they're maybe on like Wix, or if they're on Square, something that's more template based building, they're able to be way more customizable of exactly like what they want their website to look like, making sure that SEO is fully baked in exactly how they're wanting it, and really dialing in those details. And it's super easy to add and change and do anything, because you're just literally talking to it and plain English in that sense, telling it what you want. And so with that, the ICP is really more or less anybody who's got a business idea. It depends on the specific business on how much of it we can make autonomous. Like if there's an electrician or a contractor, they're obviously still gonna have to get out there and keep swinging the hammer and do the physical services in that sense. But if it's somebody who's like running a newsletter or some sort of just content or an AdSense website, Google AdSense, where they're just monetizing it in that sense, they can essentially autonomize almost all of it and handle a majority of the ongoing operations in that sense. So there's a pretty broad spectrum of the specific ICP in that sense. All
right. So let's talk about how it actually works, right? Somebody might be listening, somebody might be watching. An AI agent, for anybody who hasn't used an agent yet, walk me through what your content agent on Willow actually does on a given day. What is it writing? Is it posting? Does it decide on its own? Where do you need the human in the loop, or is there a human in the loop at any point?
Yeah, it's really customizable on that side of things. So, we have a roadmap that the Willow agent creates for you, and you can, adjust that as needed manually, or just talk with it, like you're saying, as kind of like a, another set of eyes and ears on things, and say, hey, we're really wanting to lay a solid SEO foundation. Let's put this to the works and do a bunch of SEO content right out of the gates. It'll start stacking the calendar, and that'll just start doing it automatically without you having to touch it. That's kind of like the classic, hey, you're helping shape and guide the strategy, and then it'll just start executing it. You can also set up, specific routines, I guess you could say, or tasks where, like I was mentioning earlier, it's like, hey, in addition to all this content, I'm in a niche that is really reliant on, or maybe has a lot of big news coming out. So basically, I want you to monitor the news cycle every morning, and anytime a new, something pops up, I want you to analyze it, make a content piece on it, and put it out there. So And of course you can set different, parameters on that. Maybe you want to review it after each time. And so you can set that up and have more hands-on if you would like, or just let it run. And, a lot of people end up doing that because the content's really solid. But, there's always that kind of, depending on the level of, the user's level of SEO knowledge, they might want more or less hands-on there.
Yeah. All right. So for somebody who's listening, this really could replace a lot of other tools they're using. I'm thinking that some of us are already using other AI, maybe a Claude that is doing some automations, right? But this would keep it all in one project or in one place, and it can deploy all that stuff. Now, is your tool hooked up to, say, Gmail, or is it hooked up to a website so the agents can actually post for you?
Yep. Yeah. So that's the real core, side of Willow, is that it's not just content. Content's one side of it. It manages and hosts and builds your website for you, and it hosts it in the cloud. So, and again, that's kind of what gives it that full context. So yeah, anytime you have a content piece, that'll just deploy right to your site. But then it goes well beyond that. Say the agent sees like, hey, you're branching into a new location, or you have new features coming out. I'm going to build out these new feature pages. And so it's not just content like articles. It can be complete new pages, new sides of your website. It can be full software that you want baked in to your or internal flows or automations or anything. So it goes well beyond content as far as like actual SEO article content. But that's obviously, as you know, and as we've discovered through our business life, that's an amazing way to get your feet off the ground for a new business. And but yeah, so it goes beyond that, but it does kind of the full work. So it's from the website, basically any part of your business that's online, it will handle.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, so what does a human do? What do they do? So give us that. So if I have an idea, do I then go to Willow and say, hey, I know you're working really hard, but I have this idea. Does it vet the idea? Does it push back and say, Dorien, no, not today. That does not fit into the plan that I have deployed. How does that work? Because I like to know what's going on, right? We want to make sure we know what's being posted, and that's, obviously it's part of the plan, but make sure that it's on brand. And is that something I should be worried about or not? So how does that work?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's like kind of a twofold thing. I mean, as it says here, AI agents don't replace content strategy, right? And like they can certainly create content strategy, and they do a better job than we do oftentimes, but they don't replace that human level of judgment and reason and logic that oftentimes helps shape that strategy, right? And guide it to your end goal. So I think that's a huge part. Like AI is an amazing tool, and you can't just let it run. But I think when you apply your personal expertise and your own opinions and your own, thoughts and experiences to it, you can 10x the leverage of it, right? Instead of just letting it go. So I think that's a huge part of using AI the right way is just really, letting yourself be a part of that strategy and help guide it, and not just rely on it 100%. Because it is AI, it makes mistakes, right? And it might not have the big picture in mind the full time, or maybe it has a nuance that you can catch and say, hey, actually, that's not quite the right way. We're going to do it this way, or we're going to guide our strategy to this side over here. So it is, it's like you said, it's collaborating with AI in a lot of ways, and that's what's actually pretty fun about it, because it challenges you, right? And it also comes up with fresh ideas that maybe even if you don't go with that exact thing, it's like, wow, I never thought about it that way. And now that's one of the cool things about seeing our users. They're oftentimes giving us feedback like, whoa, like I've been thinking about this for 5 years, and within like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of working with Willow, it gave me ideas that I had never thought of. Now my mind's expanded, and now we're going down this incredible path together. So that's been pretty fun to see.
All right.
Yeah. And I think more than ever right now, having that human element that, is guiding, harnessing the AI is super critical and crucial, because nowadays with the ability to just have AI content pushed out just so rapidly, it's almost like content there's a new bar. There's a new bar for what's required to actually push out good quality content and something that's going to rank well and whatnot. So, anybody can just go to AI and just say, hey, do this and whatever. And if they have zero knowledge of it, they're not going to have the ability to kind of harness it or, create the correct angle of how to speak about it and so on. Whereas the human can jump in and really help guide and create that specialness that the human, the specialness of their expertise or their personal experience and actually, doing whatever the specific thing is. That is what really drives the ranking factor, in my opinion, and helps differentiate from just like bland AI content and something that's actually like really moving the needle in that sense. So that makes a big difference there. And then also the human, as far as what Willow does as well, is that we view it more as like a business operating system. And so you can jump in and you can create AI agents or workflows and automations for essentially anything as long as it's online. And so, let's say you are coming out with a new feature, a new product, you can tell it like, hey, okay, now let's go create articles and content on your website as well. But you can also tell like, all right, and send out a newsletter for this, and now change my cold outreach channels to now start talking about my new feature and so on. So you can have it do a handful of different aspects along those lines. Essentially, pretty much anything that's online, you can have it handle. But there are certain things that it doesn't make sense to create an automation or workflow on. If it's a one-off item and you just need to handle it and take care of it, like that doesn't make sense to create like a whole workflow or a whole agent to handle like a one-off situation in that sense. So there are still quite a few things that the human needs to jump in and, get their feet wet in that sense. But there's a lot that you can actually automate in that sense too.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I heard you say, Jason, earlier, AI can still make mistakes. Let's talk about guardrails that are in place. We should all have them in place. If you're watching, if you're listening and you use AI in your business and you have other people who you work with, vendors, freelancers, VA, staff, if you do not have an AI policy and do not have guardrails in place, you are in for trouble. So we know, and I keep advocating for this. I did a talk locally and people were like, whoa, never thought about that. It's something like Microsoft came out with a number, 78% of employees bring AI into the workplace on their personal device. And so if you don't have a policy about that, they're going to be on ChatGPT on their phone, giving it probably proprietary data to get a task done that you've asked them to do, but you haven't told them they can or cannot use AI. And so it's really important to have these guardrails in place. So how do you deal with that? And I would love to know how you maybe use Willow in your other businesses and how you have those guardrails in place to know when it's time to step in. Is that before it goes out, after it goes out? Do you do a daily check, a weekly check? How do we do this?
Yeah. So internally for the platform, we have a lot of guardrails. We have a lot of, security baked in. We have kind of the whole system locked down in that sense that everything's siloed to each user. No information goes back to the core LLM model, right? So all that proprietary information doesn't get used for training the base models. And then as far as the kind of user level goes for your own business, yeah, that's like you said, you need to have kind of some guardrails around that of like when to use it, when not to use it, what to kind of let it guide and what to kind of keep checks on basically. That kind of is pretty nuanced in the sense of each business is going to have different requirements there. And I think, at the end of the day, it's kind of a trust and verify thing, right? You don't want to just blindly close your eyes and say, all right, AI is going to run this whole thing now. It's, hey, I want to set this automation up. Let's give it a run, set up some tests, see how it runs. And I'm going to check on it every hour, every week, or every day, depending on how often it fires. And then if it proves to be pretty reliable, then you can start kind of toning back on your guardrails, right? Maybe checking on it every week at that point, and then maybe every once a month. But, it's one of those things that, like you said, the more you can kind of create a good harness around it, the better it will perform and the more safe it will do so without breaking anything or, going off cue for you. But that's a huge part of what Willow is like, it's harnessing AI in a way that helps business owners run their business and grow. And of course, like you said, AI is still AI. It can make mistakes, and that's where the human comes in again, not only just for guiding that strategy, but for ensuring that it's doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah. Is there a reporting agent in Willow that will give you the data, or will report back to you and say, hey, this is working, or this is we need to adjust? Do you have one in there?
Yeah, so that's 100% doable. We don't have one natively built in, but that's another one of those automations. You can say, hey, every day I want you to give me an email that sends me my organic traffic, sends me how many leads I got on my, my lead capture form on my website. And how many you could go super granular. I want to know exactly how many people clicked on this button and every single day, so it gives you that full, and that's again, that full context that it has when it's building your website, your CRM, your database, everything. It has all that information right there. So you can really get really granular on kind of the visibility, analytics, or whatever you want to see.
Yeah. All right. So full disclosure, is there any type of content that you can think of that Willow is not creating or can't create, or that you think should not be created by AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think the legally regulated content, whether that's like medical advice or like legal advice content, that sort of thing, I think that it still makes sense to have AI help you draft that. But then, as the, medical professional or the legal professional, jump in there and tweak it as needed, or, add in your personal experience. Like I was mentioning, just that little bit of extra personal experience goes a long way when you're talking about, obviously, if it's legal advice or something like that, you can't talk about the exact case, or medical, you can't talk about the exact case in that sense, but you can still talk about it from a, faceless matter in that sense. So being able to do that as well is huge. But also specifically, like you're saying, you shouldn't just be like, all right, AI, go create all my legal content and create all my medical advice content in that sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's probably some other regulated businesses. Weren't you guys in real estate? Is that a thing?
Yeah, real estate, financial services, some of that sort of stuff is pretty heavily regulated. And so, probably don't want to mess with it if it's regulated in that sense. And, like Jason said, trust and verify, and really make sure that whatever content is being pushed out is accurate. Because some of the things like, like let's say if somebody's talking about solar and, solar incentives and so on, AI doesn't always pull the accurate time-stamped, like, latest, what are they called? Basically, latest incentives or rebates for solar. And so sometimes that can be outdated, even though the article is new, and you don't want to like be guiding people in the wrong direction, that sort of thing. So AI is getting smarter and better with that every day. But it is, one of those things that you don't want to just kind of blindly be like, all right, like anything and everything it says is good. But that's how it's always been on the internet in the first place, is that, 10 years ago, if you research something, sometimes you would get misinformation. That's just because somebody was just typing out a bunch of jargon and posting it and whatnot.
Or just outdated.
Or just outdated. Like if there's a outdated poster, if somebody just outdated something, they didn't have quite the updated information. So it's the standard thing of, for the actual end user, trust and verify what you're finding, and making sure that you're not just like blindly accepting every single thing that you see on there, like that. So, yeah.
All right. I got 2 questions left. I know we're almost at the end, but
okay, let's get
if somebody wants to use a tool, is it because they want to save time? Is it because they want to save money? Or is it another reason? What is the main reason? Or is it like consistency in content or faster building? Is there one over the other that people are like, this is really that they hone in on why they would use a tool like Willow?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it really depends on the end user's use case. Like if somebody's looking to build software, it's going to be faster and it's going to be way cheaper than like hiring a dev shop, or if they probably don't have developer experience, then they wouldn't even have the ability to do it themselves. So the ability in that sense. And then for some different businesses, they're just looking for, the online visibility, being the ability to actually like work on their own website and not feel handcuffed either to like a template or, having to pay a marketing agency or whatnot to use it. We also have marketing agencies who are using Willow to create websites and ongoing content for users as well, which is pretty cool. We love seeing that. And so, yeah, the greatest value depends on what your end goal is in that sense for Willow. Yeah.
That makes sense. So a year from now, what does running a small business look like that's different how it works now? Maybe even 6 months from now. Let's say January 1st, 2027.
Yeah.
How is it going to, because this is such a fast change of what we're seeing, Yeah. What are your predictions? Each of you have a turn and then we'll close it off, because this is, I don't know. What do you guys see coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's already capable now and what's coming is the user, the human level of business involvement is working on high impact things, right? Like you can put off a lot of the admin work, right? Pretty much all that can be automated right now. And you're working on high impact stuff. I think that, one issue that we're seeing right now already in the AI space in general, or I guess because of the AI space, is just trust is going, trust is a massive thing that's kind of at a pivotal point where, on social media, right, or on SEO, like no one knows what's real and what's not anymore, right? And so I think in the next 6 months, there's going to be some things that are solved in that side of it. As far as the actual business side, I think it's just going to be continuing to automate more and more, be more efficient, and work on high impact things, and also do more of the things that you want to do, right? Whether that's work or outside of work, spend more time with your family, because now you have someone you have an AI agent answering your emails 24/7, and they're completely catered to exactly how you want it to talk and respond to each user. So there's a lot of benefits and also a lot of growth opportunities, I think, that are going to come from this.
Yeah, I think it'll kind of like Jason mentioned, help the business owner to work on high impact, activities or tasks and so on. And I think also the ability to kind of have almost like a COO in your pocket that you can just like message at any point in time to handle this or do that. It'll allow entrepreneurs, business owners to be way more flexible, whether it's like a tradesperson who's on the job and just needs to do some sort of like back end office thing. They can just message it like, hey, handle this, take care of that, run payroll, do this, whatever it is. And that'll just kind of process and happen. And so people will be much more effective with the amount of work time that they're putting in. And then also people will be less tied to having to like be at their desk doing all the things 24/7. And it'll be quite a bit more of like, hey, like I, have my work times that I block out. And then when I'm gone, like I'm still super capable of doing this, that, and the other, because I just basically tell my AI agent to handle it for me. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I hope all of that comes true. Like I don't know if we saw all of this coming 3 years ago. Of course, 6 months out or a year out is not that far out, yet it's so far. It seems so far away with the new developments, the new models, the new capabilities. It's crazy what's coming out, especially just even available to us. And I'm sure that those are developing all these models, think like 5 steps ahead of us, but that's great to hear. Loved interviewing you and talking about agent. I think that there's going to be quite a few small business owners listening to this or watching the replay going, okay, this is what's coming, and maybe see possibilities of where they might not have had a budget or time to build something that they want to build, whether that's a passion project or, scale their business and say, well, this might be a tool or a way for me to do that. So very excited that you guys were here and were able to share that with us. Can you tell us real quick where people should connect with you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, for sure. You can find us at our personal kind of website, francisbrothers.com. And if you want to check out willow.ai, you can also connect with us on LinkedIn, Zach Francis, Jason Francis. And so those are kind of the primary places. We're also on Twitter or X, but yeah, Zach Francis, Jason Francis. I think we both have a 7 at the end of our number or name there. But yeah, it's been a pleasure being on here. It's been a lot of fun. It was a super good conversation. We love talking about AI agents and what they're capable of doing, and also their limitations and what they shouldn't be doing at this point in time as well. And so, yeah, really appreciate you having us on here today.
Yeah, well, thank
Thank
you. Yeah, thank you again. And for all of you who are here at the end, if you just jumped in and you missed this conversation, go watch a replay. Should be available in about 2 minutes. But those of you who are listening to this, thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. This was really good stuff. I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. Bye, everybody. See you soon.
See ya.
See ya.